Guys, today we are back and we're going to look at VRM. So, here's the thing about VRM. I really enjoy working with VRM. I think overall they're probably the easiest to work for. I think so. So, they're VA loans, so all of their properties are through the VA and you deal with a broker. So traditionally it's a little bit different than like working with, like First Allegiance, Safeguard, Guardian, whatever. It's a little bit different of a setup. So, but in the VA is so limited on the things they can approve, it makes the bidding process so much easier. You're kind of looking for like the big things, handrails, roof leaks, mold, trip hazards, decks, all that type stuff, overgrowth, vines, whatever, you name it. So it's pretty much just the standard stuff, which makes bidding it a little easier. But VRM is also different in the sense that they send you an asset and then you'll go secure the asset without an actual work order. And you don't get paid per lock set like you would with another asset manager. So they have what they call their initial services, and they have a list of things that fall under their initial services. So a lot of people are deterred by that. They see that and they think, my God, they're expecting you to do all of this for this little bit of money. And every now and then there'll be a property that falls in to a very small window where it kind of makes it a pain in the butt. So I think it's $800-900 for the initial services, but it requires a lot. It's an extra $100 for the winterization. So, if it's in the wintertime, you got that. But basically, you have to remove all of the debris. It needs to be cleaned, broom swept, smoke detectors, carbon dioxide detectors, all your outlet covers need to be taken care of. Just a list of stuff that you have to do. And you only get paid for debris beyond 35 cubic yards, I believe is what it is. So they want all the trimming done during the initial services. Now, they're not talking about trees, but they are talking about vines and shrubs. So if you're going to do that, you need to be sure that you include that debris in the debris that you're generating, just cleaning out the house and doing the property stuff. So a little bit different method as far as the way you approach VRM to make money. But kind of the way that I approach it is debris. That's where you can make a little bit more money on these initial services, and then obviously the bids. Now, what's cool about the bids is they actually approve like fair market value, like out here in the real world. And they'll have a competitor bid against you, but obviously that competitor wasn't at the property, didn't see everything, so 9 times out of 10 yours come in cheaper. So long story short, VRM has a way different process, but personally, I like it. So where do they fall in regards to sales? So this is annual since the beginning of the year, I believe. No, well, the document that printed off was not, but I do believe the total down here is accurate. That's what we did in sales with VRM, $80,802.64. They are probably, not probably, they are either our 4th or 5th, just regarding total sales. They don't have a large portfolio, I think probably because they stick specifically with VA. But they do have a good portfolio. The cool thing about VRM is the VA loans where I'm at cut grass year round, so it's always just a little bit of extra cash flow, something for my son to do. They pay pretty good on the grass cuts. So pay, where are they at on pay? We just went over the initial services. That's kind of aggravating. We went over your approvals and kind of the way that they pay on that type of stuff. And the grass cuts are, if you do them right, you can make some money. The way that you have to do them is kind of aggravating because you bill for the original, the first 60, and then you have to bill separately for all of the square footage beyond what I think is the 60. Maybe it's 15 or 25, and then anything after that you bill separately. It's a little bit of pain in that, but kind of cumbersome, but worth it because they pay more. So I think their pay is good. Beyond the initial services, their pay is really, really good. So accessibility, like being able to get in touch with people from the job site, not the best. I would rate it probably a 5 out of 10, and I say that because the vendor manager seems to be a very, very busy individual, very hard to get on the phone. A lot of times you just have to do email correspondence, but you do have a broker that you can contact, but the broker knows very little about your side of the business and kind of what you're doing, so they're not like a huge help unless you just need something specific to the property. So as far as communication, you know, like I said, I give them a 5 out of 10. They used to be really great, but we got somebody left, and I think the person who replaced them just has a tremendous amount of work that they're trying to do. But pay times, they are number one as far as paying you quickly. When you do something, it doesn't matter if it's a $10,000 approval. Within the next week, 2 weeks, you're getting paid for it. Their pay times is fantastic. Probably number one above everybody else as far as I'm concerned. Expectations. During the initial services, they have pretty steep expectations because you have so much things that you need to do. Now, if you just carry plate covers with you and you have all this type stuff with you, these initial services aren't that big of a deal, but the broker does come in behind you and check your initial services to make sure everything was done. If it wasn't, you'll have to go back. We've had to go back 2 or 3 times. Every time has been because we missed a plate cover, but you know, and that's I've been working with them for years. So their expectations not crazy. When you do get approvals, they only require before and after pictures, which is nice, and then you only have to have 3 of each, so you can go and replace a deck and 2 sets of steps and only have 6 photos. That's nice. So as far as their expectation, I think they probably have the easiest expectation, in my opinion. Due dates. The reoccurring services, the grass cut, they're pretty strict on. As far as your approvals, you kind of set when you submit your estimate, sorry, I had a phone call. I'm doing this recording on my phone. But as far as due dates, they're very, very, very flexible. Personnel, the people you talk to, when you get to talk to someone up there, they're very polite. They're from Texas, good people. You know, I mean, just good old country folks, real easy to talk to, very, very understanding. So from that point of view, they're great. And then the approval amounts, we kind of touched on the approval amounts. Their approval pricing is the best, I mean, bar none, because they approve exactly what you bid. They don't require cost estimators, all this jazz, but the reason they do, obviously you bid fair market price. You have a broker who's looking at it. So, I mean, if you try to pull some funny stuff, they know, but the point is, whatever you bid, they approve, and you can do it much easier than any other company. So I highly recommend VRM. I love VRM because it's just such an easy breath of fresh air in comparison to the, you know, norm, which is 8 zillion photos, lots of expectation, you know, long pay wait times, etc. VRM is just great. The problem with VRM is their initial services. You really kind of got to fumble around with it. Maybe I'll make a video later on, you know, kind of about the way that I break it down and the way that I try to come out in the positive on the initial services, because a lot of people have a tough time with it. But you can make a good profit on the initial services. But once you get beyond the initial services, it's all green grass. Very, very great to work for. And like I said, I really enjoy them. So if they had a bigger portfolio around here, it would be spectacular, but they just don't have a massive portfolio. But if you want to bring a company in as kind of like a cash flow company, or just a company to fill a small, you know, workflow void, and you're around some military bases, you know, places where a lot of military retire, that type of stuff, they're a really, really good customer to get in. Fortunately for me, we have 4 military bases within an hour drive of me. So we stay pretty busy with VRM as far as, you know, that's concerned. But yeah, I mean, they're a great company. You know, I mean, you're just looking at the numbers, you know, I mean, it's nothing flashy, but it's consistent. Not a whole lot of work that goes into it. You know, their page and the way that you have to do everything is so easy in comparison to a lot of the others. You know, you can track, you have a payments tab, you can track your payments, you can, you know, look at your scorecards. They have a contacts tab where you can just click this, and then everybody that you could ever need to contact is there. So a really good, website, and very easy to manage and use, especially in comparison to a lot of other companies. So, like I said, I'm very, very, very happy with VRM, and I highly recommend them. I hope this video helps. If it did, please let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. You guys take care. See ya.